I just want to catch my expressions when I make these thoughts, because at least if I watch this video, I'll remember exactly what I was thinking. I noticed what I noticed. One. Whew. Yeah. Little do you know, I had to go on the other side and come back. And this. Got the word, y'all. Got the paper. You know, in the Bible, there's a passage. I found it. I found it. I found it. I found it because of the papyrus. So, and then I went into the book and I was reading, and you know, like they have in red, usually in some translation Bibles, when God or Jesus speaks. So in the New Testament, there it says Jesus, when he returned after Easter, he was at this like grand party and feast, and he was just like, "Hey, tell Andrew and Thomas to come and join us for this party. They're gonna meet them somewhere across the sea, like definitely second two different borders, so that they wouldn't ever see them again." And he was just like, "Bring the papers, the books, the parchments of the ancient texts and God's word that we wrote and we spoke." And accordingly, their translations, because they wanted to keep to telecommuting with each other. And yeah, got the word now. We're gonna open it. Oh, got a lot of stuff stuck in here. We left a lot of things to Jesus. Like a lot of it just I got the book and then I just stick a bill here. Stick a condom here. I got my CPR mask here. Got my. There's a night's benefit, I guess. Left a lot of things to Jesus today. Shield of faith. Various kinds of shields were used in Paul's day, but for specific one Paul, but the specific one Paul refers to in Ephesians 6 is the large. We're gonna start drawing this. The large rectangular shield that could protect the entire body. It was common practice for the soldier to anoint his shield with oil so that it would reflect the sun's rays and blind the enemy, and this will help deflect the enemy's oil. Telling me to oil this shit. It's only 4 minutes. I'm glad that this is going through quickly. How worth it so much? It's so much little time. No casualties resulted from the second round of attacks, and the suspected bombers were later arrested. Also, more than a dozen unexploded bombs were found in a car at the Luton train station. Of course, Martha and Sharon were not the only Christians. This is a really specific story. This one tells about this Haitian voodoo ritual that had been performed near this road where this guy had went on a mission, and everyone knew from that village. They were like, "Yeah, this place is like really bad." So the guy is driving at night, and he almost his wife was at home and she woke up at night and started praying because she started to feel like uncomfortable for the dude. And he makes it off the road because he started praying in the blood of Jesus. Is that what happened too? Both of them started praying at the same time, even though she was like miles away, like not even aware. A mother saved her son that way too. This one I don't know why situations with police cars. I always try to relay stories. that I remember. I don't try to alter it or anything because it's just like Bible says I'm not allowed to teach because I'm a girl. I was kind of insulted, but then I started thinking about it, and I was just like, I can see how perception could turn into another way. It's just like I shouldn't be the speaker of truth. I mean, I should be a speaker of truth only, but I shouldn't start modeling, meddling, and thinking that I have to. And so then I realized something because it says train up a child and his days will be long, and I was just like, boom, I'm supposed to do something still, but I'm not supposed to be like this. Is you supposed to know? Shit, stack up straight. Ooh, see, and you see how I'm still okay. You see how my seat just fell almost under me, and I was just like, lift that ass back up, tuck back. Yeah, feel that breath. Sometimes when I do feel my breath in my exercises, though, when I get around to my pelvis area, I do start feeling pain. There's something. We can work through it. We just have to do it slowly. And like I've just been doing gradual efforts for the last. I've been working on my hip issue and like that for the last 5 years. It did manifest. A warning came. And that was one thing that everyone. That's why everyone thought I could be a doctor. If I couldn't be a lawyer, because they're like, you can argue for something. I was like, shut the fuck up. Really don't feel like being a lawyer. I expect to use the law specifically though, the way Jesus said I'm supposed to, and quote these things like that. Shit. It's like a Jesus Harry Potter manual. All I gotta remember is the wording. Right? In the name of the Spirit, Father. Excellent. I was thinking I have to learn how to play a harp because that's what God said He wanted. It was in the Old Testament. He was just like play 10-string instrument, which means you're automatically into piano. You're in your strings. And I gotta see this song. My sister told me to play. Gecko dance. This little Gecko can dance. He got levels, man. He hit those poses. Look at his eyes. Oh, you just a leg kick? Yes! Go Gecko! I'm gonna play this thing like 5 times today just because now I watched it. Go back. No. There's a full version? Okay, I'm good. That's good. You can't play it out too much. Oh, wait, I forgot. You said Jesus on me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. What happened in the story of David? Okay, so then they realized that the oil that the prophet was supposed to bring. What was the name of the prophet back in that day? Was it Elijah? What was the name of the prophet that there was a prophet that was sent to King Saul. King Saul was of God's grace at one point, but then he couldn't keep his lifestyle as it increased in accordance with God's way. And so then God's like, I'm going to leave you, Saul, and I'm going to go to another, and he's going to become greater than you. And he's just like, and he shall live over your nation. And he got scared. And so he was just like, no, like, I will make sure that this doesn't happen, or I'll change my ways. So, like, Saul was set on changing his ways. It's just that his actions couldn't really live up to accordance, and God knew that. So he said that was the same story for Esther, which because I actually knew an Esther in my life, and a series of events started to happen as a result of her being realized. I realized that the story of Esther is important in my life right now, which is why I'm trying to work this relationship out with this individual. I mean, like, I show up. They told me that the wife, she couldn't stay with the husband because she didn't present herself. I mean, granted, he was drunk and he wanted her to present herself where all his friends were. He'd show up naked with the. He said, I'm guaranteeing my wife is the most beautiful woman or of all the kingdom, and even you men from far nations like you haven't even graced the eyes of my wife. And I mean, yes, Vishnu. She sounds Indian actually. Vishnia. That wasn't her name, the wife of this great king from the book of Esther, and she was at one of her women's meeting or her girl parties, or because she is beautiful and she had power and she hung around with all these women because she's supposed to be a queen and she still has her royal, you know what I mean? And so which is a hard thing to maintain. I was like, bitch, you really gave up your man for these bitches? You don't even like these bitches, like. So he wanted her to show up butt naked with her crown. And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with her. Like, why didn't she think like you could show up with a mesh nightie that like goes down so then like you're naked but you're not really and you're wearing the crown. If he wants you to do extra, I mean, he's drunk, he's not that dumb. Like he's by the time you walk in there half naked in front of all his friends, he's gonna realize his own mistake for wishing you showed up like this. Just like, okay, now everybody knows that your wife is great. Just like, Abraham was worried that people would think his wife was too hot and they would kill his ass. He's like, I gotta tell them that you're my sister, otherwise these niggas will. And you know what? To be honest, guys, these guys will plot for your bitch. Like these niggas plotted on my dude for him rich, and oh man, some savage stories. I'm friends with some of these people. They tell me it's like y'all savage. And so, ladies, you are held to this expectation because he divorced her immediately. And he's like, I'm gonna find another woman who's gonna live in here. And he ended up picking this Jewish girl named Esther, who she was the child of. I mean, like the family was like seven of them. I don't remember the story fully. I can't remember the details of that. I only remember the details close to the end of the story, especially since the story's been repeated to me yesterday as part of my Bible study. Um, what happened? Um, Oh, because near the end of the story, because this is a long book, man. It's a book. It's an entire book. So near the end, Mordecai, he's a prophet, and he's related to Esther. He's an uncle to Esther. And so at this point, like Esther's being prepared to be a bride. Like she's been picked, and she lives in this court of like the king's concubines, and there was an evil man in the land and he was seeking to have all the Jews annihilated. Like he sent this secret like formal document or paper or something, a law. He had the in his power to somehow enforce this through a group of individuals. And so they were set to kill the Jews. And now Esther was shielded because she lived in the palace. But like for the rest of her people, including her brothers and sisters that still lived in the far off places, they were going to be killed. And Mordecai comes to Esther and he's just like, I can't believe that my little niece is living in this palace and she's with the king, that like this man, the guy, the barbarian, had just so happened to show up to the dinner with the king. And so like now everyone's being brought together because Mordecai came because God sent him in advance and said, go to this place because like we will help. And then that's how he found Esther. And so he realized Esther was going to be, you know, the prime playing factor to save the Jews because if she had favor with the king. But Esther was scared. And so like the lesson was supposed to be about faith is working in the unknown. So like you have to sometimes be bold. It's like sometimes things don't make sense, like you get scared. And so Esther was scared because she's just like, how do I tell the king that like this guy is bad, and how do I get him to like, you know, stop this law and do something about this? Because Esther had that dude killed. That dude, he didn't get to stay around there no more. That king got up and was mad. And what did she do? She's just like, the only way you can come before the king for a request is when he lifts his royal scepter to you. So he has to lift the stick up to you and say, you're allowed to speak. Otherwise, he'll have you killed. And she's just like, yeah, I might be his one of his like, you know, future brides in the future. I live here and all, but like if I speak for like that, that nigga will send me out of here too. Like you saw what he did to his wife. Like the nigga is really impartial. Like the wife repented too. That nigga was impartial. Like, and so I don't know whether Esther married that dude though. Like it was a weird thing because I was just like, he's really not gonna go back and get with his wife. Like that was petty. You first of all, I mean, like, yeah, she can make it up to you. If his ego was hurt, nigga, you were drunk. Poor guy, poor girl. That was sad. Esther's story is not about that at all. They don't give a damn about these people's marital relationships because, for all intents and purposes, this is supposed to be a story about the Jews, and they're supposed to be the good people. So weird. He was just useful, and like it's kind of like the way we see view Pontius Pilate. No one says we worship in a Roman, although we end up being, Christianity is founded in the Vatican, which is in Rome, Italy. And the only time Rome even comes into factoring for Christianity and even like a relationship with Judaism is the fact that Pontius Pilate got to kill Jesus off of the people. So like it wasn't. I was thinking about that story. So I tell myself I don't need no outside drama. I'm already able to give myself a story that helps modify me. It's like, careful, or we'll have a tally moment. And we have a blanket over our head because we're saying we're having a sad day. Right now, we're not. Right now, it's 18 minutes. We brought we brought the word of God out, and we brought. I realized that I like this. I knew I was gonna like this brush. I, was, I had many ideas of how I would use this brush. Mm. Honestly, you guys, I feel like I would have to wake up some half of my face before I have a stroke. Like, does that make any sense? Like, it's all working, but I'm feeling some differences. I'm like, I need to. At least I admitted that. Okay, y'all, work on myself. Get myself feeling certain perceptions I wasn't. And finding my knots. I have these bars I make. Um, I make the mini ones. There are a couple places that make the other ones too. I make them. I formulate them too in my different products. So like, I made one because I was trying to fix some hyperpigmentation issues I had on my belly because that's where that's where I erupted. That's where my eczema shows up, and that was where Actually, it was different things. It was like a lot of things were sent out to my belly. A lot of things were sent to my belly. Like, and it all started, in some ways, it might have started because I went and got that piercing. I went and got my belly pierced. I pierced my own belly. I actually became a piercer. Because I pierced a couple of people's belly buttons too. I ordered the needles. I pierced my sisters. I pierced my girlfriends. When I say girlfriend, I don't mean lesbian. I mean like that Sheila, my Filipina princess. I know two Sheilas. There's a good one and there's a not so good one. Like, I'm sorry, I had to be real with that. Tripping, girl. I know. God says me and her have to deal with each other because they sent you to me early. I had an ex show up to me. I'm gonna just tell you guys that I know I'm supposed to be warding over this little. Relax, relax. Stop messing. I don't want her in none of my affairs. Just real. You relax. It took me a while because I felt like God was punishing me on behalf of her. I was just like, man, this little bitch is pissing me the fuck off. I was mad for a minute. And I was just like, some people, they'll curse your ass off of their own jealousy. And your reaction, I had to literally learn how to be a bigger person. Sorry, I had to be. We have to use this lesson today. I didn't teach you, trained you, told you. Oh. I wonder what this is called. This has to be something. The fact that I feel, have I had a stroke before? There was that time I was in the art store and I got dizzy when I bent down to look at something and I came back up. I literally prayed the blood of Jesus. Actually, and I wrote another. I had a stroke. Actually, you gotta be careful with that because you go to the hospital and they'll tell you you now had that, you never did. You'll be in there forever. The doctors won't release you. Then they'll kill you of an infection in another place. Your ass could have just went home. You could have went home. You could have been chilling, eating your own food. Tell those niggas no, you don't want certain treatment. It's like they have someone to pray on Jesus on me. He'll tell you what to do. Jesus, I'm expecting you to tell him, get me up. You can do it. Jesus can do it. Jesus did it once. He can do it again. Jesus said if he does it once, it works again. I know. And you know what? I realized I made my nose sensitive. I told you it was a piercer. I pierced my nasal septum. I had a little like horseshoe coming down from my nose. It was cute. And until it started getting these sinus like warnings. My mom had given me the warning first. And then I remember like one night I was sleeping. I didn't think too much of it because I usually wore bent up because my jobs didn't really want it down. They were like, it gives a different appearance. I was just like, I know. I'm like, it'd be looking cute with my red lip though. Wet lip. You. I'm gonna keep my eyes open, you know. The lips are for you. Eyes, I need to be able to see. We'll work on this. Oh yeah, this is where the sensitivity. I was just the attention is here. Trying to activate this is working way different types of havoc on like my 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 nervous perception. Like I feel a tension here, side of my nose, but I don't feel it. Some of the tension is one sided, but then I realized that I alter my face for certain like while I'm talking, and I realized maybe I make these masks actually. I feel like sometimes I feel two different ways, but like one of them is an awareness, and sometimes one of it is an awareness, and the other part is how I generate my thought perception, how I want to express against it, because it's like, I mean, one is kind of impassive, so then like I'm noticing like if a kid is throwing something over there, I'm gonna notice it, and I can feel two ways about it. I can notice there are two options. It's like I can intervene, I can watch, I can you know what I mean? And like this side is like, well, I've decided, like I've decided this. And if I'm wrong, and I feel like I go back and I fix, like, and I feel like that's what straightens it up. So they're related, they're harmonious, even though one is literally. And this is interesting because now I get to actually talk about this because we really did art mask in college. I had two professors teach me it, and I don't even think they knew they were sharing each other's curriculum. I think because one Lenka's class was optional, where you learned this technique. It was in Commedia dell'arte, and that was Italian pantomime, where it's just like we go through a series of seven stock characters, and each one expresses in a physicalization, and they have different perceptions. I love that class. Lenka, me and you didn't really quite see eye to eye, but I did really, really enjoy your teaching, and I'm really, really grateful to you. And that was when I honestly, that class is when I felt like I could even trust her. Even though I took that class first, and then we went to the next semester, and I had to cuss you out near the final to make sure you gave me my proper grade because she didn't think I did my paper. I was like, "Am I that good that you can see?" She's just like 8 pages. She's like, "You took my other class." I was just like, "You didn't ask us to do these type of papers in the other class. We're being trained to be clowns in mine. What do you want from me? What do you want from me?" I'm like, "You telling me to act silly here? You telling me?" She got mad because in the regular class, we had the mime class, and I wanted to be one of the lovers because I am a lover, so I felt like I should always learn. I should learn the story since now I know that they're stock characters. And I'm like, in my life, I can see myself because I'm still young, and I realized that I've been like helplessly in love, and I was just like, I take this class. In New York, years later, after I got separated from what I call my one true love, um, hmm, anyway, I'm trying to separate these emotions right now. They're gonna come back, and just like I just want to continue on this track of thinking right now. Yeah, I give like two like blocks for this. Like, you just keep a circle of bubble because it's bare now. Okay. Anyway, um, see, now I'm trying to block. I literally like physicalize like the onset of my emotions and try to block it off so I can continue with the story that I was going on. And now I can't remember. You guys do because you were watching me. You were following me. I was trying to do too much of my processing right now. I'm like, I'm confused. uh, this is a technique. I'm sure I need this stuff. All right. I feel tension in my temple over this side right now. If I can physicalize it. And I was taking Lenka's class, and we had our spat. And oh, the spat! I'm trying to tell you guys what happened in class. Okay, so that Lenka's Lenka puts us on. We have to have what play were we doing? It was an English play. She wanted me to play the old woman. I'm like, okay, I know. Sometimes I give the grandma feature. It's a little part of this hook in my nose, right? It's all right. It's healthy because it straightens. I just have to keep myself happy. Maybe stop smoking because I see the lines. I was always, I realized when I was a kid, I kind of had these lines too. So it's kind of like a perception. It's just not gonna, focus how I feel and talk about them. And oh, what the fuck is this? Pain right here. Angle. See, and if someone can tell you that, you can localize. Is that an angle going up or down, slanted, or do my? Yeah, I sometimes tell myself I can use my Mudra therapy, like the shape symbols, as like anchors to hold things up, so I can make sure it's doing it. Because I after I took the piercing out that late night, where I woke up from my sleep and I felt like something was tingling, and I'm just like, this nose ring, I don't even use it. Like I keep it down, I clean it for the most part, and I'm like, it's affecting my. I felt like I got a perception that if I didn't take it out, it was going to start changing the shape of my nose. And I noticed, like, they tell you when you get older, your nose starts to get a little longer. So you knew it was supposed to change. But I felt like it was doing something from the inside. And I had a girlfriend in college. She told me she had a deviated septum. So I was just like, well, this is a septum ring. I'm like, I wonder, like, how did her deviate? What did it cause the deviated septum? Because that's the only disease I could think that exists. And it's not to say that this was going to give me an answer. I just had to think correlation, like, what do we know about these regions and like what affects them? So it's just like I have a septum ring and concerned about my septum. What happens in the septum? You know, a girlfriend, she has a deviated septum. They fixed it. It's like cool. I noticed. And so I could wake up at night and I was like, my mom hated this piercing, and I was just like, you know what? True, because it was just like it didn't bring out all my features. Like it brought out some, but then I still had to hide it. Like why was it in my nose in the first place? So then I was like, I need to put it back up. But then I was like, if I keep this ring, it's gonna keep the nose open. I was just like, well, I like it open because when it's too narrow, it gets dry and it's cold. And it's like, and then it drips too. I get allergies. So then I was just like, take the ring out. But then like a year or two later, I started getting ghost perceptions from it. I'm just like, oh my gosh, don't tell me it's still open. I'm like, no, it's not open. It did something. And I was just like, the cartilage was affected because that's what happened with my belly ring. Like, oh my gosh, my belly ring started. You know what I realized though? Here was the source of the damage. I burnt my skin with the hot water trying to take care of the belly ring. And I pierced that thing 3 times. I pierced my belly button 3 times. And even it gives me close perceptions. And then I learned the term navel gazing. I seemed to do a lot of that actually during that period. And oh, I sometimes think this has to be similar to Reiki. Like it's paying attention to body biorhythms, and finding nervous perceptions, and helping activate. You have to modify it because it's just like overactivating would be bad, right? And underactivating, or you can even suppress. Maybe something's acting on you and suppress. But then at that point, when you know that it can happen, I wouldn't trust anybody with that because then listening to some people tell a story about when they went to go get their eyebrows done, bitches burned them. It's like, oh, you know what? I remember when Jessica Simpson had that TV show. I remember that episode. Shit. She went to get her upper hair lip waxed, and the bitch burned her lips, and she had to wear a band-aid over it. I was just like, beware of technician. Check A. I was just like, yeah, Ashley Simpson. I remember that story. Um, then I have Exhibit C. What happened to me last year? I went to the hairdresser and she gave me a mullet on this side. Which I mean, yeah, if I wanted to cut my hair short, it would have been yeah. It was a forced lesson. Let's just say that. Okay, I learned a lot of different techniques. So like whatever was the intention worked out for my. No, I rocked it short, like I rolled up the hair around it and used the top because she did a good job for the cut. I guess she decided that short hair was the most short hair would show off all my features, but at some point it starts to make me feel like a boy. Okay, and so then I like the long hair. So she did leave the back in the back, so like I could use it on this side. It was all girly. In fact, I really liked how she cut it because It was similar to the normal. I call it my wisp hair. Um, I think now it's grown back out to the length that even though it's still cut on the side, it wisps perfectly. So now it's asymmetrical. I did go in there for an asymmetrical cut. This bitch, you took this too literally, literally, like the Commedia dell'arte mask. This one side, that one side. Huh. I guess that's why they say philosopher. Mom said, "Don't be a philosopher." She was really set on telling me she would own me for that, and I think she was trying to communicate with me because this key ring that says "I love you, Mom." I got this years ago before anything happened, and it was what I used to remind myself about her when I was in New York. And so like it just stays on my key ring, and like I reach my hand into my pocket, and I realized that my keys are still there, but for some reason this key ring with the "I love you, Mom" is completely off and by itself. And I'm like, I haven't gone anywhere where anyone would have touched my things. Like I've been in close proximity with this for the most part. Why is this ring completely off? And so like, where was I when this happened? I wasn't even home. I was like at the gym or something. And I was looking for my headphones so like I can play my music when I work out. And I was like, Mom? I was like, I wondered. I was like, I told myself as I was holding the keychain, wondering how it got itself completely off. No, none of the other keys. I mean, like it's one thing if it broke off, which it ended up doing. Like the part, it's a chain, and then the ring, and then it's the little red oval that says "I love you, Mom." And I don't think I forgot that when we read the Bible about the shield, I learned that it was supposed to be a large rectangle that can cover the entire body. Um, just because I said I wanted to draw it out, and I'm working on my techniques. And stretching at the same time. I'm sorry, I have to do both things. If I realize that I can do it, I can do it seamlessly. Excuse me if I look a little weird. I redo my toes. Let's see. I did my toes yesterday. I guess we do it again today. I don't want to leave this like this just because I did it. Cuter than this. We have no reason. Oh, but discipline ourselves today. We have something to do. We have something to do. But then I have to modify myself right now to set myself to do it because right now, if I stop myself, I'm not going to do it. Okay, so what do we need? That's how I sometimes try to slow myself down. Ooh, straight. It's a good thing I took anatomy, so I know how it's supposed to be shaped and which way it's supposed to be moved. And I did it for dancers. So like our professor, Larry Clark, he taught us how to try to fix it. We took Swedish massage technique. We're not allowed to say we certificated, although our school does have recertification if we want to continue it. It was just more of it fulfilled the science requirement for graduation school. I thought anatomy would be useful, especially since I'm a model. And it was for the dancers. And I was like, I took a couple dance classes, and I was stiff as hell in ballet. I was just like, even though like we all knew I had like grace and stuff like that, I wasn't moving the way I was supposed to. And I would go back into the place and I would practice. And I was just like, I wonder what it is. And that's when I noticed a tightness in my hips. There's a belt I could be using. Hold on. It's not this specific belt. I just realized it's made of the same material, except for it has an attachment, but the attachment works for my benefit. So, I, like your side bitches, they work for my benefit, even though they want to show up, and I don't want them there. Like they're not gonna get to stay there. But the things that are useful about them, I'm gonna adapt to those, and it's gonna be useful to me, and it's either gonna be for your benefit or for God says someone else is for me and someone else. And that's what I told myself. I speak out like that. I gotta watch my mouth. I don't want to hurt my feelings. Sometimes I feel like I should get this chance to the future, but I know because sometimes my feelings change the next minute. So if I say it and it hurts you, you don't know whether it's gonna change back to something good. I don't want you thinking when I say something good, I don't mean it. Belt is too big. I was using it as a shoulder pack. I thought I could use it as a belt, so then I got it as a belt, but I don't like this feeling. This I don't mind as much. Ooh, yes. Commander Coco, reporting for duty. I said that because of this. And even if I didn't remember this, so I can charge my cell phone or my 1 minute boo. 1 minute boo. You know what you promised me. I had one preacher say it's okay if I wear Victoria's Secret for my husband. In fact, it's probably yeah, because the story of Esther said that bitch didn't show up butt naked in her crown for this nigga in his party, and he was mad, and he could divorce her. So it's just like Vicky secret up. If you, I told you she could order negligee. Told you. You would have been butt naked. That shit would have made you. If you had the nipple rings, it would have made them glow like twinkling stars. So I would have gotten one. We had a long, like deep blue, that navy, like it's looking like black, and then like it's mesh, so you can see it, but it's still a silhouette. So then right now, you may not feel like all that about your body, but the shape is naturally there. It's part of your anatomy, and so feel the benefits of that. You walk, and it's just like, psh, 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 and you're gonna have to shave some of your pussy. I don't know if you want to shave all of it. I like to leave a little hair. It's not always the most ideal, like aesthetically, but like sometimes, when you're looking from it from different angles, depending on where it is in its growth pattern, like it looks great. And then, as long as you get the underlip hair, it's just like it's more habitable for somebody down there. So you need to tough up there, because like you ever had something that hit against your pubic bone, like your zipper or something, it's really uncomfortable. It's like that hair, that's supposed to protect against. Like you sit down, you rub it, it's just like friction. Unless you got some perfect panties. Perfect panties are hard to come by, and you're leaky. There, I said it. Y'all happy? You happy? You happy? You happy? Oh, oh, you want to start this? We started it already. Hello, how are you? I'm fine. Wait, now I'm remembering that I'm gonna actually watch this back. I want to make sure that I actually enjoy it. Um, focus on you. Actually, I want to see how that works. Actually, did you turn off? You want to watch? Wait, now I'm remembering that I'm gonna actually watch this back. I want to make sure that I actually enjoy it. Focus on you. Oh, that was actually shorter than I thought. Okay, well, we're done. What's the thing about cameras like these? What's the media cord? Where's that cord? It's been a while since I used this. We are 43 minutes. You don't do short videos anymore. we finished with you? We might as well just finish. You know? No point in saying, oh, because we got the time. It's like, who knows what was useful at this time? My mission completed for you, or am I? You don't want them to send you back, do you? Maybe you For some reason, I'm remembering my rhyme for workout. 1 and 2, 1,000, 2, 1,000 next, 3, 1,000 backwards, and 4, 1,000 next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 1,000 backwards, and 2, 1,000 next. 3, 1,000 backwards, and 4, 1,000 next. 1, 2. And usually when I start to feel those perceptions in my sinuses, I go and I like start to like investigate, and I find a boogie in there. It was just like my nose hair has caught something. Then I learned that the staph infection naturally lives in the nose, so then I was like, take the ring out. That shit is asking for trouble. If it lives in there, then it was meant to try to inhabit there as a resting place, but there's natural defense mechanisms that keeps it from. That's why when your nose runs, it runs out. It sends it out. It's hiding when it's gonna. You're not gonna stay. No bad thing can stay. None of it has the right A's to send it out. That's what your immune system is. Your white blood cells. Although I'm learning that for some people, too much is a bad thing too. Oh, I can see that now. I understand because I at first I couldn't understand. I was like, why is that a bad thing? I'm just like, it takes up the place, especially if you are inhabiting an infection, which most of us always are. And there's small areas, deficits in different ways. Cavities are one of them. Sorry, I have those. Yeah, watch out for. Oh yeah, your cavities can give you a Oh God, I'm gonna clean my mouth. It can also affect your baby's birth weight, so you have to floss. The infection goes upwards. That's why it causes a stroke. Now that I'm remembering, and I guess if it can affect the birth weight, then yes, your reproductive system. This is why. Oh, right. The prioritization of your brain, of your different functions. So you have optimal health so long as your brain decides that each one of these are useful. And thankfully to evolution and our ancient ancestors, a lot of us have developed a natural defense. So we don't have to work on building it, but you also want to build it. Build up your immunity. I said it like an African, but like with the sorry, I looked like the Indian, and I was just like, I got exactly what my mother was hoping for. My daddy was Indian, and my mama was African. My daddy was also white. I'm white, because that's what my mom always said. You're white. It's like, I'm definitely African, mom, because I'm definitely black. It's like, yeah. I was just like, it was different for me because I didn't grow up in Africa, even though my mom was straight up African. I grew up in the U.S. and slavery already happened, and I lived in modernized, like, restructuring of living primarily in an African American community and going to African American schools and having African American friends. Love you, black people. I love you. I'm black. We black. But I understood there was some differences, and a lot of it had to do with what history and psychology will teach us, the social economic program. And I don't want to continue on this track unless you're going to pay me for a paper because it's a 47-minute video. I'm just trying to entertain you here and keep some notes for myself because now I know I'm going to have to reactivate and get the cavity out of my mouth. Took the thing out my nose. You gotta always watch your nose. You gotta always watch your mouth. And I was telling you about my booze. I said my booze, but my booze is actually one person. It's the future, the present, and the past. Because I still have hope for you. Like, I don't feel too sad about it. Like, a lot of people I feel like wouldn't really understand the situation. I described it, but I could easily say that like I love this person. I don't really spend that much significant amount of time with this person. And so I know that I can live autonomous of them, even though I'm always thinking of them. And sometimes it affects my present and definitely affected my past because I've known you for a while and I've known myself for a while with you. And even if it's, again, because right now it doesn't seem like it's reciprocated, even though I probably will always be like that, I don't really know for sure, but I'm not gonna change my expectations of how I tell you how I choose to feel. And it's just like I have and do wish them well because I have to still live my life, and I spend most of the time because I said we meet back up. Like I can go a season. I don't want to, but I can go a season without them, and it's just like I'm still thinking about them, and they're still leaving like a ghost perception kind of, and sometimes it's haunting. Sometimes it sucks, especially since most of the time, like when we leave, I don't really expect them to come back, and it's not like. But I be hoping for him, and so then it makes me lovesick. And usually, I'm always talking to my friends and people about it, or at least I'm like modifying my thoughts, like my self talk with myself. Which sometimes I sit down, expressively think about things, and I think about my things in my heart, and I think about the things that I think in my mind, my goals and stuff like that. And I know that I have work to do, but I don't think worrying about love, not worrying about love's a problem, because God says love is not like that. So I've been trying to get more in my word on that so it can strengthen me. I don't need it if it's real. Because they said it's a spiritual warfare, and I was talking to the couple in church. They're around our age. They have a relationship that they're not yet married. They're not yet having sex, and so it was interesting for me because I have not yet been married, but I definitely have had sex with my boyfriend, friends, boyfriends, not boyfriends and friends. I mean, like only been like four of them, like boyfriends, officials. Definitely more than five, though. Like total, just in my history. Like maybe I think I got to nine, and I feel like I don't want to say it in a way that makes girls. I mean, I breeze by those ones. Like they're in a period of time. And that's why I was just like, don't fuck with these niggas without condoms. Like, thank God I use condoms alone. Like, but just like I knew that if I could do it, this nigga could be doing anything, like, you know what I mean? And I wasn't even like that my entire life. Like that was that one period, and like because there was like a established relationship, a bond initially, like we were able to see each other and part ways, never really question it and even think that it was something to obsess on. And because we used protection, we had protected ourselves. And like it wasn't like I feel like it wasn't like the type of intimate like relationship. Because I mean, like you're not gonna let someone who's like fly by and like suck your titties or your dick. Like I mean, if you are, I mean, like shit, herpes. Like I don't even want the nigga to kiss me if we're not on that. Like you can like why did I think that? You know what? I have a movie and it helped just at least if I'm only like fall, there was a protection somehow. It gave me a standard. There was something in the Bible about standards. It was like, give me a standard. It's just like I remember in the movie Pretty Woman with Julie Andrews, and Julie Andrews had a happy ending. It was just like they really took a prostitute and made her into a wife. I was just like, you know what? They said in the Bible this happened, so I'm gonna watch this story because it's a good movie. And she was like, I don't let these guys, I don't let my Johns kiss me, and I was just like, but she doing everything. But she always had a condom because she was just like she was different than the other girls who were just trying to make quick money, I guess. Oh man, that's a story. But and Might start sending niggas like that too. It's like, you know what? Actually, you might have to. I got a finger cut, so like, if dude got finger cut too, I don't want him in my pussy like that. Like, especially with the nails. Like, my nails are bright. I really like to stick my fingers up there because of the nails too. It's just like, is this condom scented too? Smell like perfume. I guess that makes sense. I guess you always want to help a little bit. When you're not allowed to put perfume in your vagina, it's gonna upset the thing. You are supposed to examine yourself, okay? And I think that's why women get pelvic prolapse. It's like we really, and many of us, if we're not having sex with a partner, we're not doing anything with our vagina at all. Barely want to look at it except for when you have to wipe your ass. And you're supposed to. Apparently, I got this book. It was Shania. What was her name? She was this black woman with the short hair, but she wrote this book, How to Upgrade Your Life. And like I was living in New York, just broken up with my ex for like the fifth upteenth time, but like I think this was like we had break periods where it was just like it was official, like no more. And was I planning on getting him back when I looked into that? I think when I got that book, yes, but then I met someone a month later. Wow. But see, your book changed my life. I'm gonna upgrade, take me off of an unhealthy situation, even though I wasn't supposed to stay with this at all. And the person that came wasn't. I think this is how I look at it, and like I guess how I nullify and spiritualize myself and trying to think that God had a purpose for me. Because he definitely did have a purpose for me. And he definitely did help me in all these things, including my relationship with my homeboy, Kyle. Um, we were born like 4 days apart. Like I had to know he was like at least my spirit friend. Like other than that, you just as much trouble as anybody. But like I'm just as much trouble as anybody. um, yeah, and so it's like I read her book and she was just like you're supposed to be carrying this like little bottle and you're supposed to like wet it every time. And I remember this girlfriend of mine's. She's black and Vietnamese. She actually this hair is actually similar to how her hair naturally is, which I always wonder how you got your hair like that. But I just figured it was part of your genes, and for the most part, it was. And yeah, I remember we were in the church bathroom because we went to church together. And she was using the bathroom. She ran out of the stall, giving some toilet paper. Like, this bitch is funny. Dominique, I love you. She's like, oh, got it. She went, she's like, it's too rough. I was just like, oh, that's smart, because now you get to clean the front. And it's just by the time it gets to the back, it's not ripping your ass. You're going to need more toilet paper and water. You want some wet wipes? You might have to go like this. Oh, make sure there's nothing on the bottom of your 3. I just know, remember I have 3. Okay, and you wet, and now you can go back into the stove and you have back with some olive oil down there because I told you I'm not trying to realize there's some muscles down there. We gotta pay attention. I want to keep it clean. I want to guard against infection, and you can just get infection. You can get bacterial vaginosis from your swimsuit, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what happens with the dudes. You guys get a whole series of different things, and I don't even want to think about it because it will make me more scared about whether I will let you near my hoo hoo. But least I can do is guard against the honey pot. This is where the babies get to live. So you really want to, you know what I mean? Gotta activate my lower abs. Whoa, wow. Oh, this is what started it all. Apparently, this is also our first scar. They send you out of the body. You're immediately what? Gotta get you off, man. Gotta help you. I've grown with this area. Now the hair doesn't bother me as much. But the hair doesn't bother me as much because now the hair is not doing what we knew was a immune response that was black men get it as well as I think Latinos. It's called a photostudi- pseudofolliculitis. Happens when you guys shaving your beard and you get those bumps. It's like an infection that starts to present itself, and your skin starts to keratinize itself. It starts to harden because your hair is like that keratin. They're made of the same thing, but it's just different manifestations. And then the way it oxidizes kind of determines whether it's going to be hard or stuff. So you have these natural oils in your skin, and then you have a hair coming out of a root that if you cut it and you cut it at an angle, it's gonna cut back into your skin, and sometimes it curls. So that was happening on my lower. Why was that happening? I realized a series of things were happening at the same time. The irritation factors. So I would shave my lower area often, especially since I wanted to show off this belly ring that I had just gotten myself. And I found out I was burning myself with hot water. When I poured it with salt water, the salt would keep the wound open. It might have saved some of it, but you scalded yourself. And I didn't know how to use a salt solution back then because salt did play a role, and or at least my antibacterial agents. And I learned that there are a lot of interesting ways. Because first, what happened? I was trying to restore the moisture balance. And you know what? The only cure for that was time and perseverance. Like I couldn't rush it. I tried to over exert the skin, and man, I used to hate my lower belly for the longest. Like my mom would just be confused because she's just like, "You're so skinny," and like, anyone would like to be your size. I'm like, I can't even enjoy it because like the way the skin is reacting, and I was just like, and my mom, she really felt for me. Like she was the one person I could really talk to about it, and she was just like she would try to encourage me, especially when I started making my skin products. I ended up making the skin products that helped me, although I did still end up going into some outside sources that helped. Like laser hair removal did play a role in finally helping it, even though the first round that I did was with the wrong salon that was overcharging me. Like I started with one in DC, and I was 18 at the time. It started like early for me, like 16 through 17. I was really insecure. Maybe that's why I liked that guy too. Maybe he was the only one I felt really comfortable being fully open with my body. I'm just like, it's not perfect, but I think this person will value it. At least I would hope so. Much better. Looks great. In fact, it doesn't have that gray tinge that happens when I try to use the Hydro Queen. The Hydro Queen is a bleaching agent that's found in high formulated products. They use them primarily in Africa, Jamaica. They're manufactured in different places. Sometimes they claim in Britain. Um, they have Indian versions too. And although the Indians, they kind of stick towards their more natural, holistic, they're Ayurvedic. So turmeric, I started using turmeric. They find me in school. I was making these products when I went off to college because at this point I had decided I was going to be modeled, but then I was taking the pictures and I was just like, that lower ab thing is apparent. I was just like, we're going to have to fix this because I'm like, I'm not going to quit and I'm not going to subjugate myself to a life like this. I didn't hate myself, but I didn't fully love myself either. I realized like it was something that I felt like I needed to do. And I'm glad that I did it. And I think that's where Kyle came in because like Kyle became like a safety net because he encouraged me to make my products and like he overlooked the area. I guess after I told him about it, after I opened up about it, that was really it was how when I started to display my truth that I started at Hill. Because then like when it was no longer a secret, because it wasn't a secret between me and my mom. Therefore I could walk around the house in my body. And so then like everybody my siblings too, they got mad that I wasn't pursuing it. Because they saw my body, but then like the way I used to postulate like the infection, and that's because I burnt the skin. But not just because I burnt the skin, it was how I was shaving. Then I realized that I have to like when you start doing certain techniques, they tell you to like when you wax. Oh, I tried to do waxing too. I did do waxing too. Waxing kind of made my problem a little bit more worse because then I was burning the skin and the hair was growing because I didn't have a proper topical solution afterwards, which turned out to be way more simpler. Simpler, it turns out to be better. And I just had to start watching the waistbands of my clothes because I realized when I was doing my ab workout, the clothing, because my dermatologist, my doctor, my pediatric doctor who diagnosed me with eczema, she told me that uh, my eczema was showing up in this area, not only because I was shaving it. Oh, the benzoyl peroxide started this problem though. Don't use that shit. Not like that. No, man. That's what turned it gray the first time because they said benzoyl peroxide on African American skin could turn it gray. So it wasn't just the hot water. It might have been the hot water and this highly formulated benzoyl peroxide and a steroid. I always talked about people with that steroid because I was just like, after I used it, I didn't use it again. The only time a steroid was really useful to me was when for the I went to my mom took me to Georgetown plastic surgery to get rid of the keloid that had formed from the belly ring that I started. So that and it looked hideous. Like when I had the belly ring, it was there too. But then like I was just like, it's gonna heal. So I kept trying to oh my gosh, I created my own issue. Like literally. So they had to like figure out how to like get it down. But then they realized that my belly button was kind of like herniated. Like I'd always had an innie, but it was like there was a part that came kind of stuck out. And I was just like, oh well, it's not that bad. I don't mind it. I was just like I always wondered why I couldn't be a full innie. And then sometimes when I had the belly ring, I realized that it was being trained. So like how I held my belly, and I was just like, the only thing is, I spent so much time trying to fix it that I think that I created a more herniated problem because I would push my pelvis like this, and all my organs were being pushed to the front of my body. I didn't realize because there's a way. I learned it. You learn this in ballet. You also learn this when you have to re-straighten up things. And now that I'm thinking about it, you have to girdle yourself because you have three abs in the front. The rectus abdominal forms a two-layer sheath with your six pack, because there are regions, your upper, your middle, and your lower. And the lower portion really affects women because your ovaries, your uterus is down here, and this is where you will house your baby. And for the most part, you will not have full use of the three-tiered pyramid fully at its previous rate when you have the baby because they will split. That's why they were split into two. It was meant to split. And the belly button is kind of like a holder in because I think your belly button works with your belly button works with your transverse abdominals because you pull your stomach into your spine and up because it works on your sides too. And your sides, you have your obliques. You have two sets of obliques on each side for a total of four. You have the inner, which when you twist, it makes a rapid movement. The outer oblique is going this way, and your inner oblique is going that way. It creates a ringing effect, and it tightens, and that's how you're able to twist your hip. And it runs diagonally along the side up to your hip, where they're called these insertion points. And so you have your gluteus maximus. There are three layers of muscles for your butt, and not everyone has the same amount of strength in their butt, and it is a strength house. And it's really important for women because you girdle the baby. It's important for men too because it's used for their thrust. So like their maximus builds out. So that's what gives you high butt. When you ever see someone with high butt, that's the maximus. It's the outer shield. It's the last layer, and it does have a joint exertion power, but like it's not a power in itself. The other layers in to get that real high butt, you need the other layers in. The minimus is underneath. That's going to give you that lift, and that's activated when you move your legs back. It's an insertion point too that goes into your hamstrings and your what are the thighs again? Hamstrings and quads, quadrupeds. That's how I memorize things because I heard doctors when they prepare for their medical exams they have to learn all the bones in the body. When we had to study that for anatomy in our dance class, it was so hard. Like I was just like, I only got the main 50. And I'm like, the other ones, I don't want to remember all the names. I know they're there. Like, they're like, you got to learn it. I was just like, thankfully, our teacher worked with another professor who actually went to our college, and he made coloring books. There were two. I bought the first book before I even took the class. Like I took the man, I was serious about my education. I was just like, I'm gonna start getting the books and stuff that I need now. And like you're supposed to start reading into the field you want to go into before you get there. Because let me tell you something, you're not gonna want to do homework. Homework is not fun, but you gotta do it. So at least give yourself an advantage of learning it beforehand. That way, when the homework comes, you probably did it in class because you were familiar with it. You train yourself how to speed through to do the work you kind of need to do but don't want to do early, and then you can enjoy yourself.